in all
Welcome to the Conscious Radio Network's YouTube channel. Become enlightened, have fun, and tell all your friends and family to share with everyone they know. You can find us on Facebook and stay up to date on our Facebook group, or find us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Our podcasts can be found on Libsyn, iHeart, Spotify, Google Podcast, and more. Most of all, remember to go to our official website at consciousradionetwork.com for podcasts, hosts, future shows, and scheduling. We also want to welcome our international audience. Don't stop now. Enjoy the community. Subscribe today.
This is the Conscious Radio Network.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you might be on this spaceship we call Earth. Welcome to Conscious Radio Network's weekly podcast series, The Seance. I'm your host, Reverend Dr. Paul Meckes. If this is your first time tuning in, please click subscribe, like, follow, share, comment, and also follow us wherever you listen to your podcasts. Today, we have with us former musician tuned spiritual medium who believes she met aliens and wrote 2 books about it, The Elemental Contact Sessions and The Interdimensional Contact Sessions. Joining us today for the first time, let's welcome Jane Allyson. Welcome, Jane. How are you?
I'm good, Dr. Paul. How are you?
I am doing swell.
That's great.
So, what were you doing in your life before the whole interdimensional and alien contact phenomenon started?
Well, I think what I was doing in my life, I had a very, very, very difficult childhood. I spent most of my time completely alone, and I never really related too well to other kids, and they didn't relate to me. So I spent a lot of time by myself writing poetry, drawing pictures, and trying to make music. Things I could do alone.
Yeah. And
And
music is a great creative tool.
yeah, and I used to look up at the sky a lot when I was a kid. I'm not sure why. I mean, at the time I was doing it, I didn't know why I was doing that, but I would look up at the sky all the time. And I've kind of related more to animals than people.
Yeah.
So, I had a very bad learning disability. I had attention deficit disorder, dropped out of school in the 10th grade to join a rock band, and decided, well, this is going to be a career for me. So, because I wasn't very good in school, I was only good with art and music, and that was it.
Yeah.
So, I did have to eventually go back to school, and eventually I went to college, art school, because of my artwork. And a lot of times I had strange experiences and I didn't know why I was having them. One time when I was 25 years old, one night I went out in the middle of an ice storm to get some coffee.
Mm.
And the ground was all ice, but somebody dropped a banana peel on the ice. And I stepped on it and I went flying up into the air and I was headed down head first.
Oh.
Somebody put their arms under me and lowered me to the ground. And I went to say thank you, but there was nobody there.
Yeah.
And I just assumed that it was my dead father's spirit protecting me because
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about angels at the time. But then there were other things that happened. So the whole time, I think I always perceived energy, and I'm not sure why. I was a psychic kid. Okay, this is Blackie the cat. He's a rescue.
Okay.
Say hello, Blackie.
She wants
Oh,
to be a star.
come on, come on, come on. No, he wants to be part of this. He's going to stay. Okay. Yes, you know, cats are people too,
Yep.
and so are dogs. So, then what happened? I always believed UFO aliens, it was possible. I always believed it's possible to see a UFO when I was younger. And I was playing music with my band, and we were rehearsing in my boyfriend's building, which his father owned because he was a multi-billionaire. I didn't know this, but his father had had numerous encounters with UFOs. And so he owned a mountain in Japan, and he cut off the top of the mountain so UFOs could land there.
Really? Wow.
But I didn't know this until I went to Japan and I saw
Yeah.
where he lived.
Huh.
So in his building where we're rehearsing, we go up to the roof on July 4th, 1979, and we had a UFO sighting that I'll never forget. It was first it was these six lights going up the East River.
Yeah.
Then it went over towards the Empire State Building. And then I had this thought, I wish you would come closer. I was just thinking this. And suddenly there's a gigantic object that it's a diamond shape,
Yeah.
and it's above our heads. It's as big as a 10 or 13-story building, and it looks like the Star of Bethlehem, the one that they said was there when Jesus was born.
Yeah.
And there was smoke coming off of it. Like, have you ever seen dry ice? What that looks
Oh,
like?
yeah, that mist. Yeah, that really
Yeah,
smooth
it
mist.
was giving off all this mist. Probably it was dropping on us, but we were terrified. We thought this thing was going to land on the roof and knock us off. So when people are that scared, they do things, they do weird things. If you think you're about to die.
Yeah.
So my girlfriend, she was laughing and crying. My boyfriend, he was frozen. He was catatonic. And I was wishing I had a rifle. I would shoot this thing and
Yeah.
get rid of it. And then I had this thought, if you don't get out of here, I am going to lose my mind. And do you know it just disappeared in place
Huh.
after I had that thought?
Yeah. As soon as you had that thought, it just dematerialized.
I mean, it was something we wanted to see so bad, but as soon as it was over our heads and it was that big, it was just scary.
Yeah.
We were
I
scared.
can, yeah, I can, I think I can relate a little bit that, the things that we wish for, it's like they always say, be careful what you wish for.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then, now you're within that energy and
Yes, that's right.
you don't know what to make of it. Cause now it's like, you don't know if your life is threatened.
That's correct. So after it disappeared, we went downstairs, and I went for the phone. I wanted to call the police. I wanted to call the New York Times. I wanted to report this. And my boyfriend said, don't do that. Just wait. And then we all started meditating. And I'm sitting, I never saw him meditate. This was 1979. We didn't meditate.
Yeah.
I'm sitting down and I see water, what looks like water coming out of my solar plexus. And it feels very much like compassion for the entire human race. It was strange. And I had this thought, why am I just putting my hands on my guitar? Why don't I put my hands on people? Why don't I help people? And that night I decided to leave the music business and just try to help people.
Yeah.
So I completely had a change of career that night. Of course, after we all meditated and I had that experience, we went downstairs for hamburgers, French fries, and beer to try to ground ourselves,
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, boy, when you have an experience like that, you are elevated.
Yeah. It's like you either escape into, your home and get away from the sky, or you're like, okay, let's sit down. Let's talk about this. Let's have fun. Let's kind of put it off to the side. have a couple beers,
Yeah,
you
smoke
know.
cigarettes. Uh, so that was that sighting. And not long after that, I was psychic at that point, and I was doing readings for people. And I did a reading for this woman who was a massage therapist. And I said, I saw her receiving implants in her head. And
Hmm.
I explained it to her. This is what I see for you. And she said, no. She said, I think that's for you. And I said, no, it isn't. That's not going to happen. So it did happen to me.
Uh-oh.
3 nights in a row. I was asleep. I woke up at 4 a.m. and I saw something exiting my head, and it went up into the ceiling and disappeared.
Huh.
And the first time it happened, I thought I was dreaming. So I didn't pay any attention. The second time it happened, I said, maybe it's not a dream. Maybe this was real. Because these types of things, it's not that easy to believe that they're real.
Mm.
The third night that it happened, again, I felt something had been put into my head at the end of it was like a little box at the end of a cord, and it went up into the ceiling and disappeared.
Yeah.
And from then on, I started walking around the city at night, looking up at the stars, wishing I could go home. That was
Mm.
strange. And I thought, how could I be wishing to go home when this is my home? New York City
Yeah.
is my home. But I just wished I could go home up there.
Yeah.
So then I started hearing a voice telling me to go to rooftops. And every time I did what I heard, I saw a UFO.
Huh.
And yeah. And then that explained why some of the music I wrote was like it was. I wrote a song called Martian Love when I was in the band.
Yeah.
And it was about a sexual encounter with a Martian on a highway. And that never happened to me. So I don't know where that song came from.
Hmm.
And this is all before the UFO sighting, and this is also before the implants. And then I wrote a song about an alien abduction called Reflections from Your Ship. Of course, these songs are on YouTube and iTunes and Napster. Uh, but when all these things happened to me later, that's when I realized why I wrote this music.
Yeah.
I was just channeling that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's what's so interesting about it. And to kind of give it a little bit of a backstory is after, we've had a discussion. We've actually had a really long phone conversation before
Yeah,
this show. And
yeah,
we've kind of looked at the parallels between your life and my life. And we share,
right.
we kind of have similar um, life paths.
I'm an
And I
only
can definitely
child.
relate with what you're telling us. And
Right,
as far as channeling and even some of the art that you create, whether it's music or drawings or paintings, it doesn't matter. That idea, that energy that comes in when we create something is a channel. And whether we personally experience it or not is not really the
right,
issue. It's information that we channel, whether it happened to somebody else or
right,
that it
right.
has happened or is about to happen to somebody else.
Yeah. Oh, did I tell you about a piece of sculpture I did when I was 16? And I called it my Martian grandmother.
No.
When you want to see it?
Yeah, yeah,
Hold on.
right. And for those who are either going to be listening to this on the audio versions of the podcast on all the audio podcast platforms, definitely go and go to the description of the podcast, and you can actually click on the YouTube and actually see this. Oh, that's cool.
This is the Martian grandmother, and I did it when I was 16. And I don't know why I did this,
Huh.
but there was always like an extraterrestrial theme to stuff I wrote.
Yeah.
And then there was this. Uh,
Huh.
I can't imagine that there is a Martian grandmother, but I made this.
That's cool.
Yep. And then one morning I woke up and I heard myself talking. I was talking as I was waking up, and I kept saying, I am from space. I am from space. I am from space. And that turned into a song
Mm.
called Fall from Grace.
Oh, wow.
And that's on everywhere. That's on YouTube, iTunes, and Napster.
Yeah.
So, and then when we recorded it, we didn't even have to rehearse it. Everybody knew exactly what to do, you know.
That's cool. Now,
Yeah.
with all of the band members and all the musicians that you were working with some a lot of this music, did
Right.
they kind of they got it?
Oh, fire, fire, ow, fire, call fire department. Oh, wait, never mind. Fluffy says that it's he's smudging the house. Yep, smudging the house. He's been stressing how important it is to indulge in psychic hygiene. Yep, move that energy. Well, okay, I'm gonna go over here and chew on Fluffy's foot. I'm gonna go smudge the foot so it smells better, get rid of all that bad juju. You don't want his other foot to fall off. Remember, look us up on With the Fluff. Love ya. Bye. Ow.